As always. So if there's anything, I will probably sing this song before I end the talk. But I was asked to give this topic. Initially, I was a little bit hesitant. It's a ticklish, sensitive issue. You know, like the title was "Return of Service Unobligated." But probably the reason why we want to discuss this is to really talk to the young doctors like you, those who are thinking of eventually training abroad. We're hoping that these students, or you guys, will be coming back. Also, we'd like to be able to reach out to some of our young consultants or young colleagues who are already here and are thinking of leaving the Philippines. And also tell the doctors who are out there, the specialists in the United States, that there's still a chance for them to come back. I don't know if this is being streamed live. It was funny when about a couple of days ago, and I don't really know what to talk about, and I posted a message to my classmates just to get a feel of their perspective of why they opted to stay in the United States. And you know, our Viber group is so active. Pampagising sa umaga, pampatulog sa gabi. But when I posted that question, what made you stay in the United States, or why did you decide to practice in the United States? Interestingly, walang sumagot. So, then, naramdaman ko na medyo it's a personal, in a way, it's a personal choice. It is always a personal choice. Even if I try to make it appear that I am so nationalistic, bumalik ako sa Pilipinas, I will tell you that at one time, I was in their shoes. I was on the other side of the fence. So maybe the reason why they asked me to give a little bit of what happened to me is because of my experience. After after med school, we finished in 1991. We were members of a proud class, 1991. Ang saya-saya sa college. You know, 5 years of medical school, and you will find out will be probably the best years of your life. Sigurado mag-aaral kayo, you will realize, wala pala akong alam nung pre-med. No? You will realize all the things that you studied in the past really didn't matter, because this is the real thing in med school. But that's a given. And you're here. You're accepted in the UP College of Medicine. That means the academic load you can actually handle. And how you will carry yourself mentally, emotionally, and hopefully when you come out of the college, you will be better doctors. Scholar nga kayo ng bayan, di ba? But after our last year, internship is like, you're an intern. You're like the top. You're at the top of the food chain in terms of medical students. Ikaw ang boss, ikaw nagpapataandar sa PGH, no? And as days, we're counting on the days until the last few days of internship. It was bittersweet because you know na after this, kanya-kanya na kayo ng buhay. No, I was very active in the college, and that was probably the reason why I was a little bit popular, because I volunteer myself. I was part of the Anim na Itlog, if you haven't seen that. We will MC in several gigs. We will MC the TRP. We will get invited in some department shows, trying to, spoof some of the professors and try to give some jokes during classes. Pag wala pang professor, we will be in the middle of the class, trying to entertain our classmates. It was so fun. And then I played basketball for the College of Medicine. I was addicted to basketball. I mean, if there's no exam, you will see me in the basketball court. Yung biochemistry basketball court, I live and breathe basketball there. I will coach. I will, And then I was also part of the choir. May choir yung Phi, and then we get invited. So I was so excited. And so when it was about time to really leave, dahil yung mga kaibigan, And you know that by the end of that year, we will have the medical boards. And after that, kanya-kanya na. And you can conveniently divide our class into those who are staying in the Philippines and living the Philippines. When I say staying at that time, you know, we are not really that forward thinking, but you know, those who are staying, there will be a big group of that who probably have made up their minds to stay here for good. Example, anyway, they really wanted to practice in the Philippines, mga anak, you know, meron na silang siguro mamanahing practice, that's one. Second is the specialty that they wanted to be into, unfortunately, is not being offered in the States. Mahirap pumasok ng surgical residency. So some of my classmates who probably wanted to train abroad could not because mahigpit eh, no? And then the third probably will be family. Some, because of circumstances, really had no choice but had to stay here, no? So lang, makasama na dun yung significant other, pagmamahal mo, baka boyfriend or girlfriend mo, plano nyo muna dito, no? But the half of our class, and that includes me, were really hell-bent of leaving. Leaving either to train or to actually eventually find a better opportunity in the United States. Nakakalungkot because when we were counting, kalahati ng klase aalis na ng Pilipinas. I promised myself that I will not miss that opportunity. At that time, that was the time when, for some reason, for the last decade or so, nagsara yung Amerika sa residency. Historically, ang mga, if you look at the records probably, even if I don't really know per class, easily you can say 50% of UP graduates will end up in the United States. Give and take, some will be 70%, some will be probably 40%, but mahahati mo, 50% will go to the United States. And they will train there, and they will find all the reasons to stay. The irony of it is yung makakapasa sa States, yung makakakuha ng mataas na grade sa USMLE, FMGEMS, UP. So, it's already a given. You study hard, you review, eventually you will get the scores and you will end up having a residency slot. So I was part of that. And I was looking at my class, it never, even though medyo malungkot ako because now for the very first time I will be living in the United States, may hiwalay ako sa mga barkada ko, yung 6 na itlog, mabubuwag na. Okay? Sabi nga ni Iggy at ni Jojo, paano na lang yung pag-MC natin? Naglalakad kami minsan sa wards, biglang may sisigaw na pasyente, Doktor, ay, may itlog! So, they went on, they did orthopedics, and there was no way at that time that they could actually train orthopedics. I decided to go into pediatrics. So, at the back of my mind, ang tanong ko sa sarili ko, paano kung magustuhan ko sa Amerika? Paano kung magustuhan ko doon? Pero I tried to tell myself, anyway, bahala na, there's training, everybody's doing it. There was a bandwagon, we were quite organized. I would look at my classmates who were bound to go to the United States. Everybody was holding on a reviewer, not for the Philippine boards, mind you. It's not for the Philippine medical boards. That was just a collateral advantage of like study, but really studying for the basic and the clinical science of the US medical boards. That was the time na probably, kung may stock knowledge ka, yung time na yon, right after internship, reviewing for the US boards, lahat ng mga hindi mo nakita sa PJ, sa College of Medicine, yung lahat ng hindi mo pinansin na mga topics na applicable sa United States, yun mo natutunan. For what? To be able to get a good score. Because a good score in the boards will level you up in a way and you will have a chance to get into a good program. So here we were, yan na yan, no? Ikahiwalay na yung klase. So, I guess can I just get my personal statement? So when I was trying to, ano ba sabi ko sasabihin ko, no? And I was trying to look for pictures para makita niyo naman ako kung ano itsura ko nung resident ako sa States. Baka akala niyo hindi ako nag-residency sa States. Pero wala akong makitang pictures, hindi ko alam kung saan ko nalagay. But then I found the folder and I saw certificates, my scores in the US boards, some of my residency and fellowship certificate. And then I found one page and it's called a personal statement and I will read it to you. And that personal statement, and Pia can attest to this and some others who actually trained in the States, you have to write a personal statement. When you're applying to a residency, you have to write a personal statement. So naisip ko, this is probably my way of impressing, at least telling them, ito, you should actually accept me. I'm a big shot in the Philippines, you don't know me, but you should accept me. This is the reason. So I will read to you my personal statement. So when I was reading my personal statement, partly doon, binobola ko sila. Siyempre, papakyut ka doon. Diba? So I will read. But then, when I was reading it, I guess I said to myself, totoo naman pala, kahit pa paano yung nangyari. So I will just get it. So this was typed. Baka si Lodi pa nga nag-print dito. This was typed sometime in October of 1991. When I already learned that I passed the basic and the clinical, eto na, tuloy na. No? So ito na yung mga application form. So this is my personal statement. Hindi ko na sasabihin kung sino tumulong sa akin magsulat dito dahil hindi kami nagkatuluyan. Okay, so personal statement. Jose Jonas Del Rosario. Okay. I come from a family of businessmen. Batang-bata. Nonetheless, the value of hard work and desire for excellence inculcated in us by our parents prepared me to become a physician. After becoming a valedictorian of my high school class, I obtained my Bachelor of Science degree in biology 4 years later, finishing magna cum laude in UP Diliman. After 5 years of medical training, I graduated 4th in our highly competitive class. My clinical experience was laureled with outstanding internship awards in pediatrics, internal medicine, ophthalmology, and orthopedics. I love children. Even before I entered medical school, my experiences with them were very fulfilling. I used to coach 12 to 14-year-old boys every summer in our village for a basketball league. I also organized tutorials in mathematics for elementary students in a public school near our village. My participation in various free clinics, which usually cater to sick children, has greatly influenced my decision to consider pediatrics. During this time, I did realize the importance of health education and comprehensive patient care. My enthusiasm in pediatrics flourished when I had the chance to participate directly in the management of my cases during clerkship and internship at the Philippine General Hospital. Establishing rapport both to my patients and their caretakers was a daily challenge to me. I felt a different kind of excitement whenever I can make a sick boy smile or resuscitate a newborn baby in the emergency room. At the end of my clinical rotation, I was honored as one of the Department 10 Outstanding Interns. My immediate objective is to acquire training in an institution with superior clinical exposure, well-balanced supervision from respected faculty members, and sincere support from co-residents. At the end of my residency, I should be prepared to function as a primary care specialist capable of providing holistic care. Oh, those big words. I may further pursue subspecialty training which will enable me to become an authority of a certain field. My clinical experience in the next 3 years of residency will determine my choice. Over the span of my career, I see myself as a consultant in a university hospital where I could combine private practice, teaching, and possibly research. Being active in the academic community will enrich my knowledge through the years. Charity works will be a part of my life as a doctor. I come from a developing country, and it is my ambition to upgrade the standards of our nation's healthcare through the vast clinical experience that I will gain. So that was my personal statement. So the short story is I eventually ended up being matched in a residency. You know, you go through the motions, I had interviews, and then eventually you will basically tell them what your first choice is. You submit it into a matching program, and then, I don't know if it was already mentioned, but I did my residency in New York in pediatrics, and then I did my pediatric cardiology fellowship at the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, Georgia. And then I was so lucky that I was given another year to stay in the United States to do an interventional fellowship. Okay, it sounded like everything was planned. Okay, 7 taon yan, tinuhong ni Jonas, pauwi na sa Pilipinas. Nothing can be far from the truth. I was wavering. At every step of the way, and as I get more adapted, more accustomed to the American way of life, parang yung vision ko ng Pilipinas, palit ng palit. I can find reasons to stay in the US. So my main objective is I want to be a super specialist. I want to do that because if ever I decide to go back to the Philippines, that's probably going to be my ticket. That will be my excuse to be able to stay in the Philippines. Because I already foresee that if I go home and parang ang bagal ng practice, you're not picking up, you're just one of those people, you can easily lose it and just go back to the Philippines. So sabi ko, that is my goal. Somewhere along the way, towards my 3rd year of residency, I got married. Maligalig na tao, nahuli din. And so when you have a family, when you start having people in your life, then it's not a personal choice anymore. It is still a personal choice, but it's now involving a bigger community. So, knee-jerk reflex, alam niyo naman mga Pilipino, family first. I don't think sa Pilipinas, just like anybody, you try to fend for your family. Hindi naman na masyadong naturo sa atin. Bayan bago pamilya. Usually, pamilya, sana makinabang yung bayan. Di ba? I mean, bihira yung ganon. You're hoping that if you're able to support your family, you're able to raise kids who have good education, they will be productive citizens of the country, and then that is your contribution to the Philippines. Pero yung higher parang it's so hard to think in that kind of a level when yung sarili mo pa lang you're trying, And many of us, the United States was a way of providing for your family, being able to give yourself a chance, better future for your kids. So anyway, when I saw some of my classmates, we were probably about 70 who went to the United States. Halos kalahati. Probably, I don't know, probably about 50%, and this is conservative, 50% of my classmates had dropped that dream of I will become a subspecialist. Wala na yan. After their 3rd year of residency, everybody was looking for a waiver. And what is a waiver? When we entered the United States, we were given this visa called J1. It's a training visa. It's not a working visa. It's not a green card visa. It is a J1 visa, which you don't really want to have if you want to stay in the United States. A J1 visa is a visa being issued by the United States to a foreigner, and as doctors or medical graduates, the reason why they're giving you that visa is because you actually express the desire to train in the United States in a field that is much needed in your country. You actually have to justify, ba't kaya naman namin bibigyan ng J1 visa, di ba? But everybody went through the motion, so dapat doon is, yeah, okay, so, but what happened? When you have a J visa and you want to stay in the United States, backtrack. When you have a J1 visa, at the end of your training, since meron ng clause that the country needs you have to go back and serve for 2 years. Okay, so after that, once you have served your 2-year waiver or return of service, then now you are free to apply to the United States, now getting a working visa. To circumvent coming back to the Philippines, a lot of our classmates, a lot of the UP graduates, a lot of the other doctors who end up having residency in the United States will find a waiver. A waiver is basically trying to find a place where it is underserved in the United States. Tatanggapin ka naman nila who would like to be a country doctor, who would like to work in a ghetto, who would like to be in an inner city hospital. The Americans do not want to go there, but you as a foreign medical graduate is willing to do that for the sake of a temporary, it's just like 1 step forward, 2 steps, tama ba? 2 steps, so, tama ba? Okay, so anyway. So yun. And then after you're done with your waiver, 2 taon lang naman, it's so fast. You're being paid as a consultant already, and then you get a green card. So now, once you have an immigrant visa, ba't ka pa uwi sa Pilipinas? Immigrant ka na nga di ba? So, you can say that those who wanted to do the waiver have already decided they will stay in the United States. So, waiver, and then, now for you to be in that kind of a situation, you should be like a primary care physician, a general pediatrician, an internist, or a family practice. Lihis yun sa gusto ko. I want to be a super specialist, di ba? So if I choose a waiver, then I'm saying, okay, I will give myself, and that means sa America na, pwede siya ako mag-fellowship. So, cut the long story short, nandito ako. So I forgo that waiver and just went straight to a fellowship, which was very competitive. It's so hard to get a pediatric cardiology fellowship because many, it's just competitive. So the fact that I had that chance, somebody was telling me, parang laging at the back of my mind, sometimes, you wonder like, this is not all me, it's not all my abilities. Kumbaga sa may assist There's an assist man there, up there, probably trying to, you just don't know, probably trying to, okay, I will give you this door because I want you to go here. So I eventually ended up having a cardiology fellowship. So after now 6 years, that's almost the maximum. I was being asked already, if you're not going to have a job in the United States, it's time to go home. Nagpanik ako. I'm not ready. At that time, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and hearing how my classmates are doing in the US, earning this, providing this and that. Umuwi ako sa Pilipinas sandali, tinignan ko. I had this vision, okay, so I have to accept that I have to live with my parents again or my in-laws. I have to accept na ganito. So, in the state of panic, I started to look for a waiver. And I ended up going into Alabama. Somebody told me, there's an opening there, go to Alabama. An underserved area. Punta ako sa Alabama, nagda-drive ako. With my wife, Pinky. So we were there, and then I was being interviewed. They were telling me, this, itong mga gagawin mo. You will be a general pediatrician. You will be doing this and that. I was already a pediatric cardiologist, right? Sabi ko, is there any chance I can at least see patients with heart problems? is there any chance I can do a 2D echo on some? I can be your echo technician. You know, something that will just give me a chance to use 3 years of being a pediatric cardiologist. Sabi niya, yeah, maybe we can send you to a remote area, screen some of the patients there, maybe they have a heart murmur. Sabi ko, sige, uwi na tayo. Uwi na tayo. So, actually, before I went to Alabama, I was hoping that I can have another year. And before that third year, I went home. And I spoke to some of the faculty members in PGH, specifically Dr. Luis Mabilangan and Dr. Edgardo Ortiz. Those are our pediatric cardiologists. Now, they were our professors during our time. So I asked them, sir, kung uuwi po ba ako? Yeah, sabi niya, oh, you're welcome. You know, we need you. We need someone who is board certified in the US. Please come back. And then binulong sa akin ni Dr. Ortiz, kung meron kang chance na makakuha ka ng fellowship sa interventional cardiology, huwag ka muna umuwi. That will help you a lot. Unfortunately, in the US, at that time when I was, there were only 4 programs which were offering interventional fellowship. Ivy League schools, Harvard, UPenn, Yale, and I think the other one was not even Stanford, it was Michigan something, Michigan State. Sabi ko, ano, pag-asa ko dyan, di ba? I mean, so anyway, suntok sa ban, sulat ka, apply ka, hingi ka letters of recommendation. When we were about to go home, trying to condition myself, okay, I will, anyway. I got a call from the center in Michigan, in Wayne, actually it's in Wayne State, and they said, okay, we want you to be our interventional fellow. So, wow, diba? Ito na yata talaga. And then after that, I got a call from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and we want to interview you. And so, cut the long story short, I got that fellowship. So, again, you know, in between this, you pray, you try to, ano, what is this message? Parang, ba't ibibigay sa ito, di ba? So I looked at it as a blessing from above, another assist. You know, gusto ko si Big J, si Jaworski. Pero mas magaling si Big G. Diba? So, sabi ko, kung ito binigay sa akin, siguro naman kailangan umuwi ako. Kahit 2 taon lang. Mag-waiver ka na lang muna sa Pilipinas, at least magamit mo. So, I did that fellowship. I came back, now armed with this skill that I am the very first US board certified interventional pediatric cardiologist. Sabi ko, yabang ko. Medyo parang ayos to. Sumbaga sa ano bubulusok siguro yung career ko, di ba? Kaya na, tiga-UP ka na. Medyo di ka naman kapangitan. Tapos, eto yung credentials mo. Tapos magaling ka naman magpatawa ng Tagalog. So, kukonekta ka na sa pasyente, di ba? So, I came home. Actually, some of my classmates who trained in the US were already here. And they were practicing. In fact, encouraging me, uwi ka na. You'll make it. Now, I remember Dennis Garcia one time, in the middle of all this insecurity, yung nagiging praning. Alam mo ba, 7 taon ka na nakatira sa Amerika. May slang na ako magsalita, iba na, may tuwang eh. So parang kaya mo na makipag-usap sa Amerikano na hindi nila, medyo naiintindihan nila yung slang. So, and then my kids were growing, they were born there. So parang, eto na naman ako, kinakabahan. But anyway, sige, uwi na tayo sa Pilipinas. Melissa and Gary, I think, went ahead by a few months. And we were so excited. Like, yung 6 na itlog, nabuhay. Diba? Eto na, parang may news na, bumalik na si Jonas. So, those 2 years of waiver, I thought it was going to be a breeze. It was a breeze because UP embraced me, PGH. Walang bayad, pero at least faculty ka na, no? Clinical Associate Professor, then started applying in some hospitals. I have no money to buy stocks. And I told myself, anyway, I have this skill set, so maybe they should need me, right? So I look for government hospitals which are not really very particular. I was very thankful. Again, another break because St. Luke's Quezon City actually accepted me. They're very open about US board certified specialists. So I already have a practice. But there was one mistake that I made. During these 2 years of being in practice, I was a restless, impatient soul. Because ang tingin ko sa sarili ko, dapat. That's one. Second, alam ko yung kikitain ko sa Amerika. Kung ako ay matanggap sa Amerika, and there were already feelers telling me, we know you are in this 2-year program as a waiver, just keep an eye, we will be sending you job postings. So that was my second mistake. I actually did not commit myself na sa Pilipinas ako. Kumbaga para bang namamangka ka sa dalawang ilog. Yung isang paa mo nandito, yung isa nandito, para kung ano man ang mangyari, mas pabor doon sa isa, jump ship. So during the first year, I was doing procedures, dami kong dalang mga catheters na bigay, I was teaching. Siguro that was the time na ano. So I did that, and then eventually nagsawa, may frustration, hindi mo magawa yung mga gusto mong gawin, marami pang rason, ganyan, na politika, and all of that. And then I went back to the US to did an interview, and then eventually I got this job. So towards the end of my second year, here I am about to tell my professors, I have decided to come back to the US. Ito na, pinirmahan ko na yan. I will be the head of the cath lab of the University of Florida, Pediatric Cath Lab. Diba, yun ang gusto ko para kumita ng ganito, ganyan. So when everything was said and done and everything it's always pros and cons, natimbang ko na, pamilya ko, mga kaibigan, yung opportunity to be able to make a difference in the Philippines and go to a place that it is very predictable. You will have this salary. This is your job description. This will be basically. So parang interestingly, when ito na yung day, dala-dala ko yung FedEx, Florida was calling me, okay. And sabi, okay, binigay ko sa FedEx, 1 hour later, bumalik ako sa FedEx, sabi ko, ayoko na. And that was the end of it. That was the decision. And I basically have the FedEx pack, nandun yung contract, lahat. And I said, I'm staying in the Philippines. I'm staying in the Philippines. So, yun nangyari. And after that, when I made that commitment, I said to myself, no more checking of job posting. Paglaban mo yung Pilipinas, mahirap. Pero in the end, I tell you, it's very fulfilling. Nothing can beat treating your own people. Ibang pasyente ang Pilipinas. May kita niyo sa PGH. Iba. May kakayanan, wala. Ibang magmahal ang mga pasyente sa Pilipinas. Kailangan kayo dito. You can go and train. In fact, I encourage some of my preceptees, my fellows, I try to find ways for them to be able to get the training. But please do come back. Because there's so much to be done and kayo ang kailangan dito. Okay, maraming salamat.